Alright, now we will learn about another very useful function in CSS Grid, which is the repeat function. So if I go to the documentation on MDN, the repeat CSS function represents a repeated fragment of the track list, allowing a large number of columns or rows that exhibit recurring patterns to be written in a more compact form. Okay? And as you can see, this is the syntax. The first thing which it takes, this repeat function takes, is a number. And this is the repeat factor, like how many times you want to repeat something, okay? Some column or some row. And the second thing it takes is the length, like what should be the length of those columns or rows, okay? So what we can do, as you can see here, inside of our example here, it is getting a little bit more trickier to maintain, right? So we have min-max 100 pixels 1fr, once again min-max 100 pixels 1fr, and then min-max 100 pixels 1fr. So what we can do instead of doing something like this, so I'll just get rid of that. So we can do something like repeat, okay? And inside of that, how many times we want to repeat? We want to repeat something like 3 times here, okay? Because we have only 3 elements currently right now. All right, and also what I'll do, I'll just get rid of this text. I don't want to have that. All right, and then the second part which we can do, we can just cut the min-max here or paste it down here. But for simplicity, what I'll do, I'll just say something like 100 pixel to start with. Okay, and then I have to add the semicolon. All right, so if I do that, then this happens. So what it is saying like, hey, repeat the grid template columns 3 times, and each of the column should have the 100 pixels of width. Okay, and we can do the same thing for this one as well, the rows as well, which we will do in a moment. So here we can do something like this. So then it is quite simple to update that. So for example, what I want here, so I'll just uncomment all of these. Okay, if I just do that, then this happens. Okay, so this is expected. Now for example, I have the 3 column layout, but now I want a 4 column layout. If I do that, so the updating of the columns is quite simple with the repeat function. Or I can do something like 5. So we have the 5 column layout here. And here instead of this one, so we can do something like 1fr as well, 1 fraction. If I do that, as you can see, this happens. Okay, so now all of the columns are taking up to 1 fraction of width. Okay, or we can do something like min-max, and then inside of that we can do something like 100 pixel for the minimum value, and for the maximum value we can do something like auto, or we can do something like 1fr. Okay, so hit save, and this is what happens. And now if I just shrink down a bit, and as you can see, it is now not shrinking anymore. Why is that? Because we are using the min-max, and the width is now 100 pixels, so it will not shrink anymore. Okay, all right. So this is how we can use the repeat function. So for the grid template row, what I can do something like repeat, and here I want 2 rows, right? So 2, and then I can do something like 1fr. Okay, hit save, and I'll just get rid of that. All right, all right, now it is good. Hit save. So as you can see, this happens, which is expected. Or we can, if I just go ahead and pick up this one, so just instead of 1fr, I can add a min-max as well. So as you can see, this is what happens, and this is what is expected as well. So by using the repeat function, we can repeat our columns as much as we want, and the syntax is quite simple, right? So the first value is for how many times we want to repeat our columns or rows, and the second value is for the length. So what should be the ideal width and the height for our columns and the rows? Okay, so for the first value, the repeat function takes indicates like how many times we want to repeat our rows or the columns, and the second value indicates the width or the height for our columns or our rows. Okay, All right, so I hope that makes sense. So this is the repeat function, and by using the repeat function we can easily modify our rows and the columns. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and just have a 4-column layout here, and there we go. So this is our grid here. Okay, and also inside of the grid template shorthand property as well, we can use the repeat function. Okay, so we can use that quite easily. All right, so this is the repeat function in CSS.